Hi, I'm Rima and welcome to today's lesson. Well, today's lesson is about 8 toxic words to avoid in a job interview. Now, I know there's a lot of websites telling you what to do, what not to do in your job interview, lots of books available as help, as study material. But what I'm going to focus on today is 8 toxic words that you absolutely must avoid in a job interview. Now, the first one on my list is no. That's right, N-O, no, which is an absolutely negative word. So no is a complete no-no because it is absolutely and completely negative. So imagine your interviewer asks you, have you had a chance to look at our company website? No. Do you have any hobbies? No. Have you any prior experience in this field? No. Don't you think the word is coming across as absolutely abrupt and negative and bordering on rude and disinterested? Well, I would advise you to say something more positive like, yes, I have a few hobbies. Some of them are worth mentioning, like for example, or no, I haven't gotten around to looking at your company website, but I've been meaning to do it. So don't make no the only absolute response. You could always add something more relevant to your reply after saying no. But I would say just avoid it and say something simple like, it's on my list of things to do. And that would come across as very, very positive. Well, that's all about the word no, and I would say it's a huge no-no. Coming on to the next word is actually not even a word. It's a filler. It's like someone asks you a question and you respond with, I was thinking. Well, don't you think this makes you appear very, very unsure and unfocused? So if the interviewer asks you a particular question and you start your reply with maybe I was thinking, it comes across like you haven't bothered to prepare for this interview, and that's not going to earn you any brownie points. So make sure you come across as sure. Keep your sentences short and simple and crisp, and that will definitely take you very far. Well, that was all about these filler words which we should not use. And are off your list of words to use. Absolutely and completely toxic. Well, moving on, the third word on my list happens to be whatever. Yeah, I know, how disinterested, right? So whatever is fairly rude. So imagine you're asked a question and your opinion on a particular topic, and you reply with a casual, disinterested, rude, whatever. I don't think you're going to earn any points for this particular word. I would say absolutely, totally and completely avoid using the word whatever because it's casual and it doesn't actually have any value. Well, moving on, the next word on my list is something that we're all guilty of, especially me. So if I'm sitting with a bunch of friends and having coffee, I'm going to keep saying, yeah, cool, that sounds good. I kind of like the coffee. But you know what? Not in front of your job interviewer. You should avoid using words like cool and kinda because they're not really formal words. They're informal words, and I would say drop the slang. That's right. Do not use slang and informal words. So use simple words and make sure you convey your feelings in a lucid manner. Well, moving on, this one's kind of cool and we're definitely still not using it because it's not hot enough for your job interview. The next word on my list is dedicated or motivated. Now, don't you think these words are words that you should avoid because who wants to describe themselves as dedicated or motivated? Don't you think you want to leave that for the interviewer to decide? I think you should, because these words actually come across as resume jargon, and I would say drop the jargon. So if you are describing yourself, use simple sentences rather than using terms that you may have mentioned while writing your resume. So the reason why you want to use these words in your resume is because they are easy to attract somebody's attention. So basically, words like dedicated and motivated are definitely the words that you would see on your resume, because these are big words that attract people's attention. But when you're conversing with your interviewer, you would want to be a little more detailed in your explanation. Like, for example, if the question is, what are your skill sets? You should not use words like I'm dedicated, I'm motivated to answer that question, because it's not convincing enough. It would do you good to actually use simple sentences to actually explain your skill sets and drop the use of dedicated and motivated and any other jargon that you might know. Well, that was all about my dedicated and motivated effort to teach you toxic words that you must avoid in a job interview. I'm moving on to the next word on my list, which is team player. Now tell me, how many times must the interviewer have heard this word? Now tell me one thing, how many times must the interviewer have heard this word? I think a number of times. Now this is a quality that you might pride yourself on, but I must say that leave it for the interviewer to decide whether or not you are really a team player. So this is definitely a toxic word, and it makes you come across as you take yourself too seriously, or you're too full of yourself. So definitely avoid using the word team player, because that is something which is dependent on the opinion of the other person. You cannot self-proclaim yourself to be an A-game team player in your company. Okay, moving on. The next word on my list is absolutely one of the most important words that you must definitely avoid, because it is toxic. And how? So using the word hate in your interview is absolutely not advised, because I would say there is no question that warrants a reply where you use the word hate. So absolutely no excuse. So if somebody asks you a question in an interview, keep it simple, like I do not appreciate, I have no knowledge, or I'm trying to understand, rather than saying something like I hate it. Because trust me, this word is toxic. Well, those are 7 words, and I have one more on my list, which is a very powerful one, and it is perfectionist. A lot of people actually answer a question by praising themselves. Like, for example, if the interviewer asks you, what are your personality flaws? What is it that you would like to work on? Please do not reply and say, I think my biggest flaw is the fact that I'm a perfectionist. Oh my God, you actually come across like a diva. And trust me, this is not good. It's not good for men. It's definitely not good for women either. So when you call yourself a perfectionist, it just shows like you take yourself too seriously, you're too full of yourself, and you are skirting the real issue and not revealing your real flaws. Be honest, and that will take you places. Well, this was my list of 8 toxic words to absolutely avoid in a job interview, and I really hope this lesson was helpful for you. Well, if you have any more toxic words that you know of that one must absolutely avoid using in a job interview, I want you to write to me in the comment box below, and I'll be happy to reply. Well, on a scale of 0 to 8, I think my most toxic word is hate, and make sure you don't commit a hate crime by using it in your job interview. This is me, Rima, signing out. Thank you for enjoying this lesson.